Philip Stoten for EMS Now. I'm here at Productronica 2011, and we're just sitting down for a roundtable on the topic of optimizing assets, something that seems to be gaining some momentum as a topic, but very important, particularly in the European marketplace. Three distinguished guests. I've got Toni Partzner from SIPLACE, Stefan Tachau from DEC, thank you for joining me, and Michael Kayser from Flextronics SBS. If I can start with you, Michael,
yeah.
as the EMS company here, the contract manufacturer, to compete with European costs and to operate in the European market, flexibility must be hugely important. Tell me about how you've seen that at Paderborn facility specifically, and how that facility has changed. It's changed hugely in the last couple of years.
Yeah, indeed it did. So flexibility is our mantra, so to say. Being part of the Flextronics SBS, Special Business Solutions, which is a dedicated concept for low volume, high mix, high complexity products. Flexibility is a must for us. So it's clearly mandatory. We must be flexible in our equipment, in our assets. We have to change line 120 times a month.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that's because we have a huge product mix, and we need to satisfy all our customer demands week by week, month by month. So that's for us clearly key.
Yeah, and line optimization becomes an absolute key part of that. And you mentioned to me off camera some numbers, but that's certainly trending in the right direction.
Yeah, so we are measuring our overall equipment efficiency. This is Flextronics worldwide KOI. So we are absolutely extremely observing these numbers. And the changes we did in Paderborn over the last years, implementing Lean in 2008, and running it through a couple of Kaizens, or dozens of Kaizens, and improvement projects. We are now up to 17.
Okay.
Starting with 14, which is more or less doubling the efficiency.
Okay, excellent. And to do that, you've got to work with partners, and we've got two of your key suppliers here, I guess. I'd like to bring you in first, Toni. It's something that's been really part of SIPLACE's strategy for some time to develop products that allow Michael's companies to do that. Tell me a bit about the strategy within your development to assist Michael.
Like Michael described, Michael's our customer, so he needs the flexibility, he has complex also products, so we have to react in this way as our customer like to have it. So this means again, we also, 2 years ago, we totally changed our production. We are now a lean factory, and we have seen, and we have a good best-in-class share also with Flextronics, for example in Paderborn, and we started to optimize the whole production. We synchronized it and consolidated it from 50,000 square meter on now only 11,000 square meter. We have a one-piece flow production now, and we are only building this when our customers are buying.
Yeah. Okay. And as well as the way you build the product itself is lending itself to what people like Flextronics are doing in terms of the changeover speed, in terms of the software platforms that sit behind it.
The software platform is, we need the flexibility. It's when Flextronics, for example, have a low volume, high mix, for example, we need fast changeovers, and make it very easy with our software responsibility and use it for the operators, because the operators will change immediately the setup and place the new line, and the MPI must be very, very fast. This is not only in our production floor, it's the same what we mirrored in our product, that our customer can react in their product or projects very fast.
Yeah. And I guess being a manufacturer, you're learning lessons from what you do yourself, which is key. Just to bring you in here, Stefan, on the DEC platforms, there's been a strong focus recently on incremental improvement, on process improvement within the products, but also an intention to protect people's investment. So when they buy a platform, it in itself is more flexible. How important is that to your organization?
I mean, the customers we serve a true global market now. And from that point of view, we have the challenge that some of our customers have not only the high mix, low volume, but also the high volume, low mix. So our platforms are an investment platform we want to make modularly available for a global market to make sure the customer's investment is secured.
Yeah.
So that the scale of platforms we have available today the case that those platforms are modular, gives the customer a choice of at the point of investment, which kind of requirements do I have today when I invest?
Yeah.
Which typically sometimes they can foresee for probably 12 to 18 months. If then the requirement changes, whether it's speed, it's flexibility of the product or capability, then our productivity tools are easily upgradable to all of the range of products.
Yeah.
So that helps to secure that investment.
Okay, and Michael, from your point of view, when you're focusing on these kind of projects, you obviously have internal issues that you deal with yourself in terms of making stuff more efficient, the way you process manage. How involved are you in working with your suppliers as partners to deal with the assets you've got, deal with the new products they've got? How does that strategy work?
So number one, I mean, what the two guys here said is supporting our experience, having a flexibility in software as well as in the hardware allows us really to bring down our changeover times. So we are for complete SMT line from printing over insertion to inline AOI. We are down to less than 12 minutes, coming from something like 30, 35 minutes,
wow.
right? And this is for sure only possible if you work closely together.
And the difference in that time, does that time come from pulse rate of the line, or is that mainly down to more efficient use of the line? You know, less changeover?
No, the changeovers even increased.
Yeah.
So we needed to find a way to really bring our changeover times down, because otherwise we spend too much money for idle lines, which is not our purpose, right?
Absolutely, you want those lines working.
So this is, as I said, a close cooperation between the suppliers and us, because I mean, you can do to a certain extent some optimization, but when it needs more specific adaptations of the machine or something like that, I mean, then you're in contact with the supplier, right?
Yeah. And in terms of that collaboration, I know, for example, with SIPLACE, you've talked a long time about the kind of consultative relationship you have in helping your customers to optimize assets. And again, you do the same in terms of technology and that moving forward. How prepared are they? I mean, Flextronics are perhaps a good example. Clearly they have been prepared, but how prepared generally are customers to let you in and let you actually look at their process data and look at their production line?
So we are very close to all of our customers. So we are still looking, even in the software point of view and also in the hardware point of view, what is the demand, and not the demand, the current demand, what is the demand in the future as well. And this will be integrated immediately in our development department. Think about this, what the customer needs in the future, and what can we realize in this, and also design it for the manufacturing. Because when it's designed also for the manufacturing, the whole process is much more shortened because the customer needs it tomorrow.
Yeah.
So then the whole supply chain, including prototyping, development, must be close together and must be transparent, and also the requirements from the customer must be very transparent. And then we can close the loop very, very fast.
Okay, and Stefan, from your point of view, is that something you're doing with your customers? And that's something you do with your customers everywhere in the world, or is that something that's happening more in Europe?
We get involved as much as we can. I mean, the more data customers share with us, the more that gives us opportunity to plan and to work ahead, developing new features or new benefits for customers at the end for the machines. So one of the examples we have introduced a couple of years ago was an offline editor, which helped customers tremendously to program the machines offline, away from the production line. Then you have a very quick changeover.
Yeah, that seems absolutely key, doesn't it? I mean, Michael, from your point of view, it's all about having the production line producing and doing nothing else. You don't want to do any programming on there. You want fast changeover. Just keep that pulse rate going.
Absolutely. So, I mean, this is exactly our concept. So really setting up a line offline, while the first order is still running, have the second already prepared, just switch the programs, just switch the material in a short time and then move ahead.
Okay, and internationally, you know, Flextronics is a global business, the SBS footprint and the Tier 1 EMS footprint. How do you deal with the assets within that whole organization? For example, if there's a number of deck printers in one of the facilities in Asia, and there's a shortfall in North America. How do you deal with those assets?
Yeah, so what we do, and because I mean, you can imagine having so many factories in place all over the world, our capacity, our equipment is key for us to manage that in a proper way, not to spend money for idle machines, as I already said. So what we do whenever a demand of machines pops up anywhere in the world, we have a global pool of machines, a virtual pool, right, where all the factories need to address their idle machines, put in the idle machines, and sites looking for new equipment can then do a research on that pool whether or not there is something available. So that is one way we try to minimize our capex.
Yeah.
Maybe not in your favorite, but for us it's a must.
But it's their machines being utilized, which is what they need to see for, I guess, support contracts for everything else. So the business grows in a different way now.
It's about the cost of ownership for customers, and we also want to make that as transparent as possible. So we have introduced another product which we call asset management, really, where also customers can basically buy or invest into a peace of mind. So you have a known cost of ownership for a period, say a year, which is basically including. So it's a fixed investment, and that includes then all the maintenance,
so
as well
support
as
and upgrades,
product warranty at the same time.
Okay. So it's absolutely, I mean, cost of ownership is what it's all about. Price is not an issue anymore, is it?
It's also very good for our customer to know they can relocate the machines from Germany to China and so on. The machines are still working, so it's a very stable product. They choose the right supplier.
And that only works if you buy from global suppliers, I guess, with a footprint that can support you everywhere on the web.
That's exactly what we do, because sometimes we need to transfer the complete production line from one place to the other to avoid any second customer audit and approval processes and all these things. So really build it here and set it up here and do mass production in a low-cost country, region, or whatever.
Yeah, and you need the team around you to it. Last question that I want to ask you all individually, bit of a tricky one. If we look forward another 2 or 3 years, we're seeing these changes and the production processes evolving really fast. What big change do you think we're going to see next? What's going to change the way we develop our technology? Are we being driven by components? Are we being driven by the end users of the technology? Are we being driven by industry? Perhaps start with you, Toni.
It's really a tricky question.
Of course.
So it's like looking in the crystal ball.
In the crystal ball, yeah.
It's okay. First of all, our innovations will be driven by our customers.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And we never can foresee if we will have a bottleneck on component side or any raw material. So that's it. But this gives us back, let's say, the philosophy to be flexible, flexible in the production line as well. If some component is missing a raw material, how can you react on the oscillating from the supply side and also on the oscillating customer orders? And this, as Mark mentioned, is the lean philosophy shows you really good, let's say, levers for this to reduce your lead time with only this work in progress what you really need. And if you have this stabilized processes, then you can also react maybe on earthquakes and floods and so on.
Yeah, which are challenges we constantly see. What's in your crystal ball, Stefan?
It really depends on the industry you look at. I mean, from a global perspective, the driver of the electronic industry at the moment is communication and information. That's going to make the organic growth over the next coming years. But certainly, from a global perspective, from volume, certainly all the other industries, there's the electronic or e-mobility, you call it. So the automotive industry is going to need to look into new ways of moving people around. The industrial electronic is getting more functionalized. They don't necessarily have the footprint problem, but more content need to be put into their products. So it remains important that platforms in the industry are still capable of keeping up with all of those different products.
Well, we can rest assured it gets ever more demanding. So what's the next big challenge for the contract manufacturers themselves? Always in the, you're kind of in the meeting point between these guys' technology and the end users. You've got to take care of everybody.
That's correct. I mean, for us it's even more difficult because, I mean, we are serving all the markets Stefan was talking about, from automotive with all these segments like e-mobility and whatever, to consumer, to medical. So for us, it's even more hard to compete with all the technological requirements. So at least we need partners who can support us in that, so that we are prepared really to serve most of our customer requests and technological demands with one machine, so to say. Right?
And take those practices and share them worldwide, I guess, with the organisation.
Exactly.
And Michael, Stefan, Toni, thank you very much for talking to me. Fascinating topic, and I'm sure we'll hear much more on it. And I hope we can talk again soon. Have a good show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.